Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in a country completely cut off from the rest of the world? For over 2 centuries, from the 1630s to the 1850s, Japan was that country. This was the Edo period, a time of so-called sakoku, or closed country. But was Japan truly isolated? The answer is far more complex and fascinating than a simple yes or no. Let's pull back the curtain on this secret world. The story often begins with the Tokugawa shogunate, a powerful military government that decided to slam the doors shut. They expelled foreign missionaries, banned Christianity, and prohibited Japanese people from leaving. Foreign travel was punishable by death. To the outside world, Japan became a mysterious, silent archipelago. But inside, a vibrant and unique society was brewing, creating a culture that still captivates us today. So, if the doors were closed, how did anything get in or out? Well, one door was left slightly ajar, the port of Nagasaki. This was Japan's only window to the world. A small artificial island in Nagasaki harbor called Dejima was the designated trading post for the Dutch. Imagine a tiny piece of Europe, walled off and meticulously controlled, existing within Japan. Through this single, tiny portal, a trickle of Western goods, science, and ideas flowed in. This Dutch learning, or rangaku, allowed a select group of Japanese scholars to study everything from medicine and astronomy to engineering, keeping Japan from falling completely behind the rest of the world. The Chinese also had their own designated quarter in Nagasaki, ensuring that cultural and commercial ties with their powerful neighbor were maintained. So, isolated didn't mean completely blind. It was more like peeking through a keyhole. With this newfound peace and stability under the Tokugawa regime, Japan's cities began to explode. Edo, which we now know as Tokyo, became one of the largest cities in the world, with over 1 million people. And with bustling cities came a new kind of culture, a culture of the common people, the townspeople, or chonin. This was the birth of the ukiyo-e, or the floating world. Life was meant to be enjoyed. Theaters boomed with spectacular kabuki plays, featuring dramatic stories, elaborate costumes, and charismatic actors who became the superstars of their day. Sumo wrestling became a national obsession, drawing huge crowds. And what about the samurai, those legendary warriors? With no wars to fight, their role changed dramatically. They weren't just warriors anymore. They became bureaucrats, administrators, and scholars. They traded their swords for ink brushes, managing the vast domains of their lords. This created a highly organized and efficient, if rigid, society. They were still at the top of the social ladder, but their daily lives were more about paperwork than battle. This transition forced the samurai to redefine their identity, leading to the codification of Bushido, the way of the warrior, which emphasized loyalty, discipline, and honor not just on the battlefield, but in daily life. Art from this period is something you've almost certainly seen, even if you don't know it. I'm talking about ukiyo-e, the iconic woodblock prints. Artists like Hokusai and Hiroshige captured the beauty of everyday life, the landscapes of Japan, and the glamour of the floating world. Hokusai's The Great Wave off Kanagawa is perhaps the most famous piece of Japanese art in history, and it came directly from this period. These prints were mass-produced and affordable, making art accessible to everyone, not just the rich elite. They were like the posters and magazines of their time, spreading trends and celebrating the vibrant culture of the cities. This internal flourishing was incredible, but the world outside was changing rapidly. By the mid-19th century, Western powers, hungry for new markets and coaling stations, were knocking. And this time, they weren't going to take no for an answer. In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States sailed into Edo Bay with his Black Ships, powerful steam-powered warships that Japan's traditional military couldn't possibly match. This show of force was the shock that finally broke the doors of isolation wide open. Faced with overwhelming military technology, The Tokugawa shogunate had no choice but to sign treaties that opened Japan to foreign trade. This momentous event marked the beginning of the end for the Edo period and the samurai government. The secret world that had been carefully cultivated for 250 years was suddenly exposed to the full force of the industrial age. The country was thrown into turmoil, ultimately leading to the fall of the shogun and the restoration of the emperor to power in 1868. So, the Edo period wasn't a time of stagnation. Far from it. It was a period of intense internal development, a cultural renaissance that shaped the very soul of modern Japan. The unique arts, the urban culture, the social structure, all of it was forged in this crucible of controlled isolation. It was a secret world, but one bursting with life, creativity, and a dynamism all its own. The story of Edo Japan teaches us that a closed door doesn't always mean an empty room. Sometimes it's where the most interesting things are happening. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into Japan's past. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what other historical mysteries you'd like to explore. See you next time.